And welcome in, ladies, gentlemen, and everything in between to another episode of the High Low Sports Podcast. We appreciate y'all for joining us on this Wednesday evening, or if it's one of your favorite places to check out podcasts later on in the week. We are pretty much exactly halfway through July, which means summer of soccer is rounding down. Football season is right around the corner. We got a lot of fisticuffs. We got basketball and arguably the best part of its season, the off season. WNBA is heating up. Baseball All-Star games and a whole lot of drama across all sports. It is DJ joined as always by my co-host Kelcey as we get ready to gear up and ramp up NFL season coverage. But we still got plenty of other things we're going to talk about as well. We're not going to focus exclusively on the gridiron. It's going to be a very fun show today.
Yeah, I don't know how, as a basketball fan, I feel about the shot there at the NBA. It is summer league time though, and Dylan Cardwell looking really good in the Kings uniform in summer league, which I don't know what that means for the Kings going forward. But hey, I got to try to hang my hat on something after I literally bashed the Kings for, I don't know, what did we do, 85% of an episode not too long ago. So yeah, maybe the Kings need to figure it out with Dylan Cardwell. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm being hopeful here.
I mean, summer league is fun too, but we do know that a lot of the off-season drama with basketball is almost more fun than a lot of the season. It feels like they talked about Cooper Flag and Bronny that summer league game with like $400+ cheap tickets. Like the off-season's really fun. By the way, Cooper Flag, he's looking pretty nice through the two games he played too, especially that game too. So we'll see. Maybe the Mavericks, they've done it again. They found their white generational star that's going to transform their franchise. They just shop domestically this time compared to previous years. But we're going to shift away from that because one thing NBA does really well is a pretty good All-Star weekend, we'd say. It's all right. It's not bad. It used to be a little bit better. It's better than NFL's All-Star, that's for sure. But it doesn't quite compare to the first one we're going to talk about, which is going to take us to our opening segment, the tip-off, brought to our good friends over at SeatGeek. Use code BellyUpSports for $20 off your first purchase on any tickets for any sporting event, concert, comedy show, anything that requires tickets. Use code BellyUpSports for $20 off your first order. And you know what? We're going to go to that aforementioned All-Star game. We're going to talk about the MLB All-Star weekend, culminating with the All-Star game yesterday that ended in probably the perfect way for it, a swing off. And instead of going deep into extras, we end up with a swing off where Kyle Schwarber snags himself some MVP with three dingers in a row to give them the win. So once again, MLB All-Star continues to not disappoint after an electric home run derby, which we'll talk about here shortly. But once again, MLB All-Star continues to be the pinnacle of All-Stars along with NHL, probably the two best ones. I think baseball is so good at it because you can't really, it's hard to half-ass playing baseball, really. Like you see NBA where they walk up and down the court and hoist half quarters. Football where it's two-hand touch or just grab ass in the park. It's never actually playing. Baseball, you really can't half-ass unless you just don't run. That's really the only way you really, or if you throw lollipops. Like those are the only ways to half-ass it.
Yeah, it's one of those things like game wise, and especially with the changes to the NHL All-Star game recently, going to the 3-on-3 style, that's kind of killed a little bit for the old school guys, the old school fans. They don't love it as much. First time I've really heard complaints about the NHL All-Star game until as of recently, which is kind of surprising because I think it's one of the more entertaining weekends. But MLB All-Star Weekend is still a show. It's still a showcase. I don't necessarily agree with some of the replacements they put in there. Why is a rookie who just made his first call-up being called into the All-Star game? That's a little crazy. Although he did put Lugia on the inside of his suit jacket. So Pokemon, for those who don't know what I just said, which I thought was like, okay, that's cool. That's a funny nod to, whatever. And most importantly, Paul Skeens can still not get a win even with a 6-run lead. I don't get it. At this point in time, one of the best pitchers in the game can't get a win with a 6-run lead. And Clayton Kershaw was talking to the announcers on the mound, even with John Smoltz giving him pitch tips for what he should throw and striking out Vladimir Guerrero Jr. By the way, he does not have a cutter, as Smoltzy learned on the call, as we all heard on TV if you watch the game. But no, it's a fun All-Star game. I love the swing off. I love the idea. I hate that the fact they didn't do what they could have done, the All-Star potential within the All-Stars for that swing off. I get why it was the case. Aaron Boone came out and said it. Yeah, we had to pick them the day before. I wanted to pick guys that I knew were going to be in the game later. But we missed out on a great opportunity to have a Shohei versus Aaron Judge matchup. Like, that would have been hilariously awesome. Pete Alonso could have been in there for the NL as well. You could have had the home run derby champion, Cal Raleigh, big dumper in there. There's so many opportunities to make this more fun. And look, nothing against Kyle Schwarber. Schwarbombs are a thing. They're a real legitimate thing that people love. But I think it was a missed opportunity, but I think overall it was a fun event. It was a fun event. It continues to be a fun All-Star Game weekend, and it feels like All-Star Game weekends can be more competitive than any other All-Star for as far as baseball goes compared to any other All-Stars across the board. Just because, like you said, it's obvious when you don't try in baseball. There's no Terry Roziers out here in the middle of a regular season game cutting points, allegedly. So
There's no Malik Beasley's out here blatantly doing it as well, covering that spread with 0.07 seconds left. I will say I agree with you, the missed opportunity for having Otani and Aaron Judge out there at the end of it. I mean, I wish that would have been just gold. That would have been golden television. And you'd have a World Series rematch in a way, considering they were just in the World Series last year. Getting them back in the stage would be pretty awesome. I love the swing off thing to end the All-Star game. I don't want them to incorporate that into the regular season, though. I don't want that to be how they there have been some talks about yeah, speed up because you don't want an extra inning game going 15 innings on a Tuesday night because people have to go to work the next day. I get that, but just don't bring it into the right. It's fun for All-Star. It's two things to keep separate, and then obviously playoffs. You play till there's a winner. There's no ties. You play till there's a winner. I get it, but I love the swing off for All-Star weekend, but I don't want to see that in regular season games. I don't want to see that anywhere else. It is perfect right where it is at. We don't need to. I know we're speeding up the game a little bit. We don't need to speed it up that much. We can still we don't need to go that far.
yeah, no, look, hey, who would have thought that you're the best hitters out there in the league, and whether or not you agree that the three that were out there for each side were the best hitters in the league, they're all stars. They're still all stars. And it's worth mentioning. You throw them out there and you just let them have an unlimited time frame to hit no pitch clock, a predetermined amount of swings, and guess what? It's still one of the most exhilarating things. It's almost like maybe, hey, home run derby. You should have taken a memo a long time ago. Not that this home run derby was bad, and not that a lot of home run derbies are bad, but sometimes they lose their oomph when they try to do too much to them. Like I just like throwing the guys out there. You get 20 pitches, see what you can do. You know, it's the same kind of concept with the swing off. It wasn't 20 pitches, but it's something that, it makes things really fun, exciting, and especially that late. Yeah, it's pretty cool, but don't bring it to the regular season. I agree with you. I don't even like the guy starting on second base. Like that bothers me. Nowadays you can have a no hit through 10 innings and still give up a run to somebody you never gave a hit to.
Like we've reached the line of what is acceptable at this point.
Yeah.
That is the line. We can't go any further. Like it needs to stop right here. And even that's probably low past the line, but it's like half a foot past the line, not a full
Well,
body. So it's
but you could legitimately have a perfect game
and
and
then
lose the
someone
game.
just chill. Exactly. So I agree with you. Let's keep things some separate. I don't mean to dump on. I don't mean to end it because it was an awesome All-Star game. I don't want to dump on it. We're gonna go to the Derby where there was a whole lot of dumping going on there, mostly from Big Dumper himself, Cal Raleigh, taking the home run Derby crown, thanks to an inch, literally an inch to even get to the second
Less than
round
an
as well.
inch, yeah.
Like my goodness, inches matter as he proved to us too. Nearly eliminated in round one by Brent Rooker, tied with 17 home runs, 470.61 to 470.53. You remember that, everybody. An inch matters, but after that too, he
No, 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 no.
less
The
than an
little
inch
things
matters.
matter, TJ. This is what there's the little things matter. The 10th of an inch mark that nobody can read on the measuring tape matters nowadays, is what we just heard.
What we do know is after that, not quite an inch, he ended up tallying a total of 54 home runs on the night, winning in the final round. 18 home runs to Camaro's 15. The only other Mariner to win the home run derby, Ken Griffey Jr. So some pretty elite company and continuing
Twice.
twice. Continuing his honestly, he's on pace to break a whole lot of
Oh no,
records
sorry,
running.
3 times for King Griffey.
My point remains, he is joining some elite company and he continues what looks to be a record-breaking caliber season for Cal Raleigh. So it was weird because he was the biggest favorite, comfortably like plus 250, I believe, to win the whole thing. We did not pick them because we never picked the number one favorite because we always think we're slick. And it comes back to bite us. He was the favorite, yet he did it in such a way that was still so surprising, entertaining, and just the way he started cranking them after surviving by that less than a tenth of an inch. It's like everything you wanted from a home run derby, especially the favorite once he got through there. I still wish Matt Olson would have gotten to round two, the way he started to turn it up in the second half of round one. But once again, Cal Raleigh proves he was in that conversation. There's obviously Shohei and Aaron Judge up there, but I don't think he's too far behind that conversation for the best hitters in baseball.
Yeah, and he's a switch hitter. Like
Even better.
that's an underrated part of what he does. He's a switch hitter. He could have hit left. He could have hit right. He went lefty in in the Derby, which especially down the stretch in the Derby, he did in the first round. He hit both plays. But down the stretch, he hit only lefty, which I thought was a great move because it's a shorter porch. He could get out. He can get hit more out on a line that way, and so he didn't have to necessarily square everything up perfectly, which was a very smart move. But yeah, it was a fun. It was a fun derby, man. I like Cal Raleigh is a name people shouldn't forget about. I didn't pick him because I thought Jazz Chisholm's coming out here with an amazing bat that's a Demon Slayer bat. I thought I was like, that's cool. This is gonna be awesome. This is a show that Jazz likes to put on. Like maybe he's gonna do something. Only hits 3 home runs. So there went my pick in the first round. Least amount of home runs, check. Wish I would have done that instead of most home runs. But hey, whatever. But no, look, it was great. And like always, it seems like with these home run derby champions, there was a great story. Not only is he a catcher, not only is he, the first Mariner since Ken Griffey Jr. to win, the only other Mariner since Ken Griffey Jr. to win a derby, but he did it with his dad throwing and his brother behind the plate, which is so cool. So they talked about it on the cast. They called it Papa Dumper, Big Dumper, and Lil Dumper, all involved in that one. And I'm just like, all right, well, this is their quota for amount of times you can say Dumper in one cast. It feels like, but yeah, they definitely hit whatever that quota is. If there was an over under on the amount of times Dumper was used in that home run derby, it would have hit the over, guaranteed.
I gotta say, Joe Buck gets a lot of hate for his commentary. Some of it warranted, sometimes not. He does a good job with the home run derby. I know people they despise him for football. Sometimes they say him and Troy Aikman are terrible. Some people hate on his baseball. I thought he did a good job of that home run derby.
Yeah.
Honestly, I thought he did really well for that one. Like he has the right voice and energy for the home run derby for sure. I don't love his face, obviously, like most people don't either. But I thought his voice for that was absolutely awesome. Cal Raleigh too, the most homers of anyone entering the home run derby ever. He has 38 on the season heading into the event too. So he continues. Just absolutely incredible.
For half a season, he has 38.
He's on pace, if my math is correct, that is 76 is what he'd be on pace for, which we'll see. Second half of the season's a whole different animal too. And you got to imagine teams are starting being like, nah, you go take your base, young man. You're not dumping on us, so we're not dealing with this. So there we go. I've hit our dumper quota for the day as well. But let us
before we say it, just so you know, that 76 would beat Barry Bonds' asterisk record. I say that because people have put an asterisk on it of 73 by 3 home runs. If he were able to hit 76,
I'm gonna say
I don't think you can put I don't think you put an asterisk on somebody whose nickname is Big Dumper. I'm sorry, I just don't think you're allowed to. I think the fat rules that one. I don't think you're allowed to say steroids in that case.
You underestimate cancel culture. They will find a way that he is being insulted to. His nickname is insulting to the less dumpy.
We're canceling lard, hot dogs, burgers, beer, and everything else that makes you fat. Great, my doctor will love you. But other than that, just let's let a guy have a home run derby.
I'll say, hold on now. Let him cook real quick. Like let him cook real quick. He's on.
Let him have his moment first.
We'll see. You can make fun of, you can call him Big Dumper all you want, but he continues to get it done. And you know what? There's probably not a better nickname going on right now when you match results with nicknames. It is as good as it gets. But we're in transition now from what just happened recently to what is going to come up. Is we're going to head now to the Octagon to talk a little bit about UFC 318, the Dustin Poirier swan song happening in Louisiana, his home state. Lil Wayne, Wheezy Tunchi, the man himself, is going to be a part of the walkout as well too. So he's going to be in attendance in the Smoothie King Center as well, home of the New Orleans Saints. So an entire event built around Dustin Poirier. Incredible to see. So what we're going to do, anyone who's kept an eye on our YouTube page, we're going to talk about bets, breakdowns, and predictions for UFC 318's main card. We're going to go and get started looking at the very first curtain jerker of this, well, very, very poorly stacked pay-per-view, but we won't get into the logistics of that otherwise, because we're going to start with Michael Johnson taking on Daniel Zubar. Odds on this one are absolutely crazy. Even the ones right there we see aren't even fully up to date. Michael Johnson is now a plus 410 underdog, whereas Zubar is a minus 550 favorite. And those odds are going to hold true, where Daniel's going to get it done. He's going to get the win. Michael Johnson is the epitome of win one, lose one in his entire career. He will lose to absolute nobodies and yet somehow beat Dustin Poirier in his life and crack Khabib. He's the most inconsistently painful fighter to watch. You see from his record, it's very much win, lose, win, lose, win, lose. He's coming off a win, which means he's down. It's time for a loss. We're going to take Daniel to win. I don't think it's going to go the distance either. So we're going to take no for our bet on it going the distance. We're going to say it does not go the distance. Daniel Zubar will get a finish in this fight. Moving on up the card now. Danny Ige taking on Patricio Pitbull expect chaos, and not just from the mustache and the facial hair. We're gonna expect quite a bit of chaos from this 145 showdown. I'm gonna take Danny Gay to win. I think he's gonna win by decision. Patricio Pitbull is notoriously hard to finish. Danny Gay is going to, I think he's gonna control the distance. He's gonna crack him a lot. He's gonna get Pitbull on the back foot. Pitbull's gonna try and grapple. So we're gonna take Danny Gay by decision as well. So that's gonna be the bet for this one. By the way, that's plus 110, and the fight to go the distance for the last one is minus 165. Let's move ourselves right up the fight card now. We're going through this one quickly because, like I said, some of the best fights on this card are in the prelims or just not on this fight card at all. So we're cruising through to the ones that matter right now. Kevin Holland, short notice fight taking on Daniel Rodriguez. Kevin Holland is active as ever. Once again, taking a fight on very short notice, taking on Daniel Rodriguez. Two really good fighters. Kevin Holland is on the kind of on the come up. He said he's starting to take a little bit more seriously, starting to talk a little bit less trash mid fight and actually focus on getting wins and making things happen. We're going to take over 2.5 rounds. I think this fight is going to be a decision type of fight. I do like Kevin Holland to get the win. He is a massive favorite. He's at minus 535. You can see the massive length advantage, a 7-inch reach advantage, leg reach pretty similar, height 6'3 to 6'1. I think he's going to control the distance. Rodriguez is going to have a hard time touching him. I think Kevin Holland's going to do a good job controlling that. He's going to cruise to a comfortable decision. Moving up now to the co-main event. Can't believe we have this is a co-main event on a pay-per-view, but I will continue. I will try not to complain. Paulo Costa taking on Roman Kopylov. Very, very interesting. Paulo Costa, a former title challenger, is a plus 195 underdog who he's a headhunter that can't seem to hit the head anymore. It's a very weird, like he is the ultimate power puncher. You could tell by the special juice in his arms and his chest and his abs. He is a very, very powerful, dangerous puncher in the 185 division. But he just can't seem to connect like he used to. He doesn't plod forward the same. He's not quite the killer that he used to be. 14-4. I think he started 12-0, if I'm not mistaken, at 1.2 when he fought Israel Adesanya. Roman Kopylov, young up and coming fighter. Kopylov's a minus 238 favorite. I think he's going to win, and I think he's going to find a way to do it comfortably. So if you have DraftKings where they have point spreads for fights, we're going to take the minus 3.5 point spread, which basically means he will win 2 rounds on at least 2 of the judges' scorecards. So it adds up. So if it's all 29-28 him winning, that means that he only gets 3 points. He doesn't fully cover. So at least one of those, he will win. He'll either get a clean sweep or a 10-8, basically. So more or less, he's going to win by more than 3 total points. He's not going to win 2 out of 3 rounds on every judge's scorecard. I think he's going to win comfortably. Or if he finishes a fight, then he covers the spread, obviously, in that way as well. Now that we've gone through all that stuff, we can get to the main fight on the card, the one who is built around Dustin Poirier versus Max Holloway. And I love and I hate this fight so gosh damn much with every fiber of my soul. Picking a winner in this fight is harder than a Conor McGregor workout at this point. Everyone loves Dustin Poirier. Everyone loves Max Holloway. I'm weighing my options here, trying to figure out who I want to win this one. This is really tough. I want them both to win so bad. I don't want Dustin Poirier to lose in his retirement fight in his home state. I don't want Max Holloway to be the first fighter in UFC history to go 0-3 in 2 separate trilogies either, since he's currently down 0-2 to Dustin Poirier on top of it. I want to see lightweight Max potentially make a run for a second title. I hate this, but I love it at the same time because it's such an incredible fight. The last time they fought, it was fight of the night. It was an incredible back and forth. We're going to take Max Holloway. I think there's just something a little bit different about, by the way, the odds are really, really close. They're minus 118, minus 102. Sorry, they actually changed. They're minus 135 and plus 114. Holloway is a slight favorite. He has a title aspiration still, a little bit younger. Poirier's going through the emotional roller coaster right now. It's his final career fight at home. Everything that's going into that. You can even see it in like the media interviews. It's almost like he's holding back a little bit of tears. He knows it's the swan song. I would love it. I think it's going to be a war. I think they're going to bang it out. I see this fight going the distance, but we're not going to touch that one with a 5-round fight with 2 guys that could kill each other at any given moment. So we're just going to take the money line minus 135 with Max Holloway. I think it's going to be an incredible fight. I hate it. I still hate it so much. Like I said, harder than a Conor McGregor leg workout at this point, but we're still going to pick Max Holloway. I think we're going to take the money line. So all those fights combined, we're looking at about 27-35 if we want to parlay all of those bets into one. But we're all here for this fight anyway. The rest of those, if you're going to bet on any of them, go ahead and take the bets. They're good fights, but they shouldn't be pay-per-view fights. Some of these prelim fights down here, like Marvin Vettori, Brendan Allen, ranked fighters in the middleweight division. Kyler Phillips, Vinicius Oliveira. these should be on your pay-per-view cards. These ones should be jerking the curtain. I don't know what they were thinking here. Then some of the fight nights coming up have all the good fights as well. UFC, I don't know what you're thinking, but that's what we're looking at. That's what we're looking at for our bets and our breakdowns. We're still at picking at about a 77% clip. So 3 out of 4 times we're getting you a good bet on here. We had a much better start to it. The last couple of pay-per-views, we've come back down to earth a little bit, but we're still picking at it. We're still picking. So roughly 3.5 out of 5 of these picks will hit it based on previous math. Hopefully it's even better.
Yeah. So always hedge your bets and always bet safely. That's your best answer for all that.
Bet individually before, if you want to parlay them all together and you're degenerate, go right ahead, but just be fully aware there's a reason those odds are so high.
Yep. By the way, I don't know if anybody's caught up on this. I know it's been a while since Kevin Holland's been in the news. He had the craziest 7-month stretch of his life in 2021 to 2022. Stopped an alleged carjacker. Helped to stop a shooting in Houston, Texas, with him and his training partner. While putting a guy in a rear naked chokehold. So first one was October 2021. That was March 2022. And in May 2022, he rescued a driver that had an overturned tractor trailer that he thought was going to explode as it was leaking out fluids that was unknown. Potentially could cause an explosion. Talk about a legitimate superhero, and he continues to take fights on short notice. So not only is he a UFC superhero, he is actually potentially a real-life superhero at this point.
He's done all of that. Well, I think since he entered the UFC, he has the most fights in the UFC since he entered. And just this year already, he has 3 fights, and this will be his 4th fight. His last fight was UFC 316, June 7th. So he's as active as they come. He's always out there. I'm excited for this one. I think he's going to control and get a win. And like you said, there's always something going on with him. He's got something going on at all times. He is a busy guy. So I look forward to this one. Let us know down below in the comments what you think of this fight card, who you think is going to win, and if you're as distraught but excited over this main event. It's an incredible fight, but I hate somebody's going to lose this fight. I'm almost hoping for a double knockout. I don't want it to go to or a draw, I guess, but even that would be kind of anticlimactic for Dustin Poirier's final fight than in a draw. Like, why can't I have nice things? Like I hate this. I have nice things, but not in the way I want. But it'd be much easier if I hated one of these guys. I think the consensus is it'd be so much easier to hate one of these guys. It sucks when you see two people that I hate it, but I'm gonna be front on the edge of my seat the entire time. I can't wait.
Yeah, no, it'll be fun. It's always a fun competition. Look, Max Holloway as this is coming from a guy who doesn't necessarily go out of my way to watch non-highlight UFC fights. But with Max Holloway, with Dustin Poirier, I don't think I've missed either of their fights, whether it's matching up against each other or anything recently, because it's always something fun. I mean, Max Holloway is probably the biggest shit talker I've ever seen while beating the heck out of somebody, because he's hilarious to listen to and watch him, talk smack while dodging fists and then punching somebody in the nose every time. And Dustin Poirier is just a very intriguing watch every time. I mean, look, there's a reason for Max. He has a BMF, but that's all I have to say with that.
I'm gonna need to get a weight and some rope and tie myself down to keep myself in my seat. So I'll have to find the right way to tie that weight to myself. Moving on now from the tip-off, that's now going to take us into the main event. And for the main event, we are going to talk a little bit of football here. We're going to go ahead and start in the Big Apple. We're going to be looking at the New York Football Jets as they are spending some money in these last couple of days as they are extending 2 of their young superstars, Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner. Combined contracts worth more than $250 million. Their young studs are getting paid, and they've been the bright spots, almost the only bright spots for the New York Football Jets over the last 3 years. So Garrett Wilson, one of only a handful of receivers to have 80 catches, 1,000 yards, and at least 3 touchdowns since he entered the league. And then Sauce Gardner, we know, two-time first-team All-Pro, multiple-time Pro Bowler. By the way, Garrett Wilson did that with Joe Flacco, Mike White, Zach Wilson, and the ghost of Aaron Rodgers throwing the ball on top of it. So well-deserved. Both these guys do it. Smart for the Jets to get them paid now, too, because they're only going to get more expensive moving forward. Smart to get that done. And those are, I don't know the exact numbers, but I'm pretty sure those are your 2 highest selling jerseys. So at this point, you continue to add to that, especially with Garrett Wilson, considering he changed his number. He just needs to quit wearing those damn sleeves. Smart move by the Jets. And if Justin Fields and the new coaching staff can just get a little bit of spark surrounding that team, just a little bit of stability around those 2 stars, they could be very fun. But smart move by the Jets to get those 2 guys paid, especially with rumors. I'm putting this in rumors because I'm not, but that Garrett Wilson might be demanding a trade this offseason if they would have kept Aaron Rodgers in the end, and basically the Packers adjacent squad around him, like Devontae, Allen Lazard, and everybody, that he could have been looking for a trade. So they do the smart thing. They keep Garrett Wilson. They keep him happy. Yeah, smart move by the Jets. We don't say that very often. A very smart move by the Jets.
Yeah, I mean this offseason has been pretty smart for the Jets, right? Resign Quinnen Williams, resign Jamie and Sherwood, Alan Zard for whatever reason. Yeah, I don't good or bad, don't care.
Hmm.
But then locking up Garrett Wilson, 130 million, 4 years. Also, by the way, puts him in the top 10 highest paid receivers in the league, which is well deserved right now. But locking him up until 2030, we're talking 5 years from today. Pretty insane. And then Sauce getting his well deserved place as the highest paid corner in the league. With 40 or 60 million of his contract is guaranteed of the 120.4. So technically speaking, a discount compared to Garrett Wilson. But I think that's the Sauce discount because Sauce recognizes this is a great place for him to ply his trade. And look, no better place for a corner than to be in that New York market and to be good, right? That New York market loves to hate on people who are bad and will not shy away from it, but they will not talk about somebody who's good, which means, guess what? He gets to live his best life while he's being great. So just keep that up and don't try to Darrelle Revis this and just don't like talk about Sauce's Island or anything, and you're good.
They picked the perfect time to resign him too because he's coming off his worst season as a pro. Was not had one interception last year. Kind of got picked on a little bit more than usual in different spots. Just granted, the Jets as a whole were kind of a mess, but he himself didn't play his best individually, which is more of a compliment to his first 2 years than an insult of last year. But this was the best value you were going to get for him unless he falls off the cliff.
Yeah.
If you're assuming he's not going to fall off the cliff, this was the best that you were going to. This was the cheapest you were going to get him at this point. And with
Yeah.
Aaron Glenn coming in, former New York Jets corner, by the way, too, you got to imagine with the defensive scheme, a lot of those things. Your hope too is that he's going to get even more out of Sauce. That he's going to fix that defense is going to be better, and Sauce is going to be even better. And that secondary as a whole is going to be better since that's kind of his trade. So, do you really want to pay him next offseason after what hypothetically say bounce back gives you like 3 interceptions, first team all pro, etc.? Well, the Brinks truck just bring in another truck. So smart timing, smart contract, and like you said, it makes sense. New York, if you're they love their corners if you're good. You talked about Darrelle Revis. If you're good, even if you don't have to be great, you just have to be good. And Sauce is very, very good. Top 5 corner. Getting paid like it's then it's a reason to bring people to come watch the Jets. I smart move. Very smart move, both of these.
Yeah. If A1 doesn't have him lined up with a deal, I mean, it just makes sense. A1 Sauce, like top of the line Sauce. That would
Remember
just
when
make
Buffalo
sense.
Wild Wings had the sauce at one point too? Maybe they'll bring that back now. Maybe he has one bounce back season and they bring that back for us. So that's what we're waiting for. The Aaron Glenn sauce and the sauce is what the Jets need to bounce back next year. But they've been known as a dysfunctional organization, but at least they got this part done.
Yeah.
A team that
This is the
can't
best
quite.
thing they've done all off season.
There is another team that's known as a dysfunctional team that has not done any of this whatsoever, and we're gonna go to the Cincinnati Bengals to talk about them. And well, I will say at least they did get Jamar Chase and T Higgins taken care of, so I'll give them credit for that, I suppose. However, you look at what's going on the other side of the ball right now. Trey Hendrickson still not signed. That's still a financial battle royale going down. Shamar Stewart, not only has that not been figured out yet, he's not even in Cincinnati right now. He's practicing at Texas A&M according to reports, so he's not even in your time zone, let alone near your practice facility. And my math is correct. We are 49 days from the start of the regular season and 14 days away, 15 or 14 days away from the Hall of Fame game and training camps getting underway. So I don't know what they're doing. It's not like your defense is a plethora of talent and rich in effectiveness compared from what we saw last year, where you had an all-time offense and missed the playoffs. So you can't really be letting these assets just not be there over, especially in Shamar Stewart's contract case. It is a language issue. It's not even like actual money. It is a guaranteed language issue. At this point, you take your athletic young rookie fits a need, you get him there so he can get better. Trey Hendrickson, you find a way to figure that out because somehow, even with such a terrible defense, he at least gave you 16 sacks. Imagine how bad that defense is without that. Like, Mike, what are we doing here? Find a way to get. I get it. It's hard to make those. There's a lot of loops. You're paying way too much money on the other side of the ball, honestly. I mean, 19% of your cap is going to 2 receivers. That's the most in NFL history, if I'm not mistaken. Joe Burrow's not cheap by any means. My goodness, you got to figure this out. Like, you got to at least get one of them in there, if not both. I don't know how you're still bungling this around.
Yeah. So this is a really weird story because unlike the basketball side of college and NFL or NBA in that case, you can't declare for the draft, get drafted, and then go back to college if you don't sign an agent. Like in the NFL, legally speaking, as of today, this is important, you cannot go back to college to play another season. However, due to a lot of the overhauls through antitrust lawsuits, there are conversations that if Shamar Stewart wants to, through Texas A&M, file a lawsuit claiming that he should be allowed to play as he has never accepted a paycheck for the NFL or from any NFL agents, then he should be allowed to. And this opens the door for him to also, by the way, which talk about timing, it's about 30 days, 38 days until the NCAA season kicks off. Fall practice hasn't started, so he's not technically practicing with the full team, but he is practicing at A&M. There's been pictures. There are videos on the facilities. But it's a situation where he could potentially end up with a lawsuit, not only either playing for A&M, but playing for any school that wants to offer him money in the transfer portal, because it's immediately changes his roster affiliation in college now because of the changes in the law a couple of years ago. So he could potentially transfer to a new school last second, start 1 week after transferring and play a whole season and then get drafted again and then sign a deal. Until he signs the contract. It's crazy.
Should be noted too that the Bengals would still hold his rights through the first draft after Stewart's eligibility requires too. So he can't technically fully escape them, but he could definitely make a point right here. And like you said, in college you could still get paid as well through the NIL and everything too. So I don't understand how they let it get to this point, because it's not even like it's literally just wildly interesting language that they've never done before, and they're deciding to drop on him right now, which is, I don't get it. I don't see the point in it. I understand other teams have done it. I get that. I understand the Bengal team writers, the diehards that the team is never wrong. I get it. Those how their point of view is, but I just don't see the point in it. Like you should, if you this has been an issue since basically day one. By this point, you should have just said, "No, we're fine. We'll take this out," or found a compromise, found something in there, because you still have Trey Hendrickson you got to deal with too. That's the one you really need back for next season. You got way too much money invested in an elite quarterback and elite receivers. You should be consistently in the playoffs competing for Super Bowls. Right now, you're not even you were competing for the 7th seed last year and failed. You haven't been to the playoffs since 2022. You know what has happened in that time? So much things happened that time. Like, my
The Browns
goodness,
have
it's
won a
been
playoff game.
no, they lost that playoff game.
That's fair. But they've been to the playoffs.
They've been to the playoffs more recently than you have. That's all you need. Joe Flacco's throwing a touchdown pass more in the playoffs sooner than more to the Texans than to the Browns, but he's thrown them in the playoffs more recently than a team that has Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. Like, just it's erroneous that we're at this point. You don't even need a good defense. You just need to occasionally get a couple takeaways or just force a couple of punts. You know who does that very well? Trey Hendrickson, when he gets a tackle for a loss or a sack on 3rd down. You know what helped? Shamar Stewart may be learning from him off the opposite and being a freak and occasionally rushing somebody into Trey Hendrickson, or maybe getting a sack of his own. He didn't do that as much at A&M. He's got some work to do, but just having bodies out there.
Not his last. Let's be fair. His last year at A&M was not a highlight year for Shamar Stewart, but the years before that were pretty good still.
He's got a lot of Trayvon Walker in him, which means if he develops similar to Trayvon Walker, maybe you'll start to see like those 9 sacks in a couple years. But right now, you just need him to get in the way and occasionally force an erratic pass on 3rd down. You just need to get a couple of stops so Joe Burrow and the offense can put up 30. You just need to give up 26 or less, basically. And I don't know what the Bengals are doing. I could rant about this all day, but it just seems absolutely insane that you haven't been able to figure this out, especially the Hendricks one. This is 2 years in a row.
And if you're the Bengals, if he goes back, yeah, you have his rights for next year, but it goes in your 1st round draft pick. What are you going to do if you have to have Shamar Stewart back in the 1st round next year and you don't want him? You can't pick anybody else. That's your pick. It's taken for you. It's like when you just, like, if you've ever played keeper leagues for fantasy sports, like that's gone. Your 1st round pick out the door. You didn't even get anything for it. Your own stupidity gave you this. So congratulations. Like that, this is the dumbest move I've ever seen from an NFL franchise. But considering this franchise is the one that gets Fs almost across the board for how they treat their players and families and travel and everything, this is no surprise.
It's crazy as this was a position of need and you needed to get after the quarterback in a class that had a lot of options to get after the quarterbacks. Obviously, defensive end wasn't quite as deep. Defensive tackle was incredibly deep. You picked it, I think it was 17 was their draft spot. There was a lot of options there. You picked the guy with a high upside, but like you said, like we kind of mentioned, didn't see as much production necessarily. There's a lot of tools there you draft on potential as well that you don't draft on a finished product. Ceiling's really high, and you still bungle that up. That's what's absolutely insane. So I digress. Maybe I want if somebody disagrees and says that this is all on Shamar Stewart, not the Bengals kind of being done, please let us know in the comments because I'm failing to see why they are doing this. I just don't get the reasoning whatsoever. But we've talked enough. We've been negative enough. They're not the only players that are having contract issues. There's a couple others across the league as well too. A couple of receivers we'll focus on today for sure. Jawan Jennings with the 49ers and Terry McLaurin with the Commanders. Terry's was more of just like, yeah, I kind of would like to get paid, basically. And I'm a little frustrated by it. There's no like I'm holding out. There's no I hate you guys. There's no, it's more or less just it's more of just a statement at this point. Jawan Jennings has basically said, sign me or trade me, is what it sounds like, which we love Jawan Jennings on this show. It is a Jawan Jennings positive cast. He has not had 1,000 yards in a season yet. So I think at this point, we might not need to be demanding. It also, I want to know what kind of contract he's asking for too. But I feel like at this point, when you have the opportunity to step in, is that maybe a receiver one this year, depending on how Brandon Ayuk comes back. Maybe you're a receiver two. Either way, it's a much better position than guy who threw a nice pass in the Super Bowl for a touchdown. Either way, you got a lot of opportunity. I think you have an opportunity to make more money at the end of the season. So if I were him, I don't know if I'd be demanding. It also depends on if he's asking for Garrett Wilson money. It's like, all right, let's reel it in a little bit now. But if he's, I don't know the full details. So if I were him, I don't love this one quite as much because I think there's such an opportunity to add a full, maybe even another zero to that contract to go out there and ball with a healthy team. The Terry McLaurin one, Commanders, don't overthink this. That man has been through thick and thin through your franchise. He's been through. You have put that man through hell. You make that work. You get him signed. You have Jaden Daniels on a rookie contract. You brought in Debo Samuel. You have Dan Quinn in his backwards hat. You don't have you get that man signed if you're Commanders. You don't overthink this. You get him signed. He's coming off a career best in touchdowns because you finally gave him not just competent quarterback play, really good quarterback play. You keep that man around. You don't let him go. Commanders, don't overthink this. You ask him, what do you want? And then you make it happen.
Yeah. Let me start with Jawan Jennings because as a Jawan Jennings stan, I believe he should have been MVP, Super Bowl MVP if the 49ers had won. I will stand by that. I lost a lot of money because I put that bet early on, and it didn't work out for me. But let's start with Jawan Jennings. When he signed his 2-year extension in 2024, he was the number 3 receiver, potentially number 4, realistically. He was a 3B type of receiver. Last year, he was number 1. 975 yards, 6 touchdowns. Yeah, sure, it's not 1,000, but if we put every metric on 1,000 yards for a team like the Niners, who, despite being their number 1 running back down and number 2 running back down at times, they continue to hand the rock off to their number 3 and 4 and 5 running backs, then, okay, sure. Let's blame him for not getting the extra 25 yards. Compared to his current number 2 and 3 on the team, he was on the field about 200 more times 2 years ago when he was a 3B, if you combine their number of snaps last year. And that's Jacob Cowing and Ricky Pearsall. Jennings was on the field 73% of the snaps 2 years ago when he signed the contract extension. Last year with his number 1, he doubled what they had for snaps. So we're talking about a situation where a guy who has proven he's your number 1, Brandon Ayuk, we don't know what we're going to get coming back from an ACL, but even when Brandon Ayuk was healthy, he wasn't a number 1. Brandon Ayuk has, despite every claim that he's a number 1, has yet to prove it on the field he's a number 1. No matter who was on the field, no matter what, healthy or not, has yet to prove it. Jawan Jennings has proven he can be a consistent patch catcher. Is he a number 1? Maybe not. Maybe not long term. But for right now, sure. Should he deserve more than the $7.5 million he makes a year? Yeah, probably. When you talk about what pass catchers are making per year, the $7.5 million extension he has per year is crazy to me. It's 15.39 over 2 years. So yeah, about 7.5. But yeah, it is a wild conversation to talk about from a 7th round pick who is I think is a legitimate number one on what should be a playoff contender. And I think him asking for more money makes sense. Maybe not a lot of more money, but like, hey, pay the guy 10 million a year, call it swell.
By the way, he's asking for an average of 19.1. I just looked that up. So he's looking for a extension worth about 40 million for 2 years.
All right. In today's pass catching costs, whatever. Like that's what 15th on the list, 17th on the list, something like that. With a bunch of guys who don't get 1,000 yards, but who catch less touchdowns than him. Cool, works for me. Honestly, this one doesn't bother me as much as far as the receiver asking for it. Terry asking for it doesn't bother me at all either. What bothers me more about this is the fact that it seems like the Commanders want to screw themselves over yet again because they have Terry, they have Jaden, they have an offensive line, they have Brian Robinson Jr., they've brought in talent around Terry to make him even better. Like, what are we doing here, Commanders? Pay the man. Pay the man. Just open the checkbook. Blank check. How much do you want? Cool, here you go. Congratulations, you're going to be in DC for a long time. When's the last time that you can say the command or that franchise had a career receiver? Santana Moss? That's the last I can think of.
Probably realistically. I mean, like there's a flash of a Pierre Garçon in there. Like there's nothing really that locks in, nothing to the level of the scariest of Terriest.
Yeah, like this dude has set franchise records for receptions and touchdowns. And you're still sitting here, I don't know. Maybe I won't pay him. It's why? Just blank check. You're talking about getting a new stadium. Most of it's going to be publicly funded. Like you have money to spare. Just pay the man. That's it. Just that's the easiest one I have to say. Just pay the man. With Juwan Jennings, I don't care one way or another if he gets the contract, but I'd say, yeah, I think he deserves a contract extension because he's not playing like the 30 or 60th best receiver in the league. He's playing like a top 30 receiver, so he should be paid like a top 30 receiver. So that's my take on those two.
What I think is really interesting too is he wasn't really a full-time guy at Ohio State. Like he didn't accrue a lot of snaps. So it's not like he has a ton of tread on his tires, which is something that he's pointed out too. Hasn't missed a game since 2020, so half a decade since he's missed a game. Coming off 13 touchdowns, 82 catches, 1,000+ yards, and with a rookie quarterback, a rookie play caller, rookie head coach. He's going to be 30 in September, but like you mentioned, there's not a lot of tires. You can very easily, or not a lot of tread on those tires. You can find a way to get a 3-4 year deal, and he's still effective. It's not like he's completely dependent on being explosive. He's very, very technically sound. He's very effective. He gets open, and they act like he's still very much in the prime. This would be the time to pay him because let's say he does that again next season. Are you going to not pay him again? And then like, what are you going to do otherwise? Like now would be the time to pay him. You front load that contract. You like, thank you for dealing with our BS the last handful of years when we were terrible. You give him like a 3-year deal worth a buttload of money where he's getting 25 a year or whatever it is, 25, 30, whatever the market is for him per year, depending. You have Jaden Daniels on a rookie contract, so you don't have to pay him right now. As Terry McLaurin's contract ends, that's when you have to pay Jaden, we're presuming Jaden is going to remain Jaden and you will be paying him. It's not going to flame out where you don't pay him, but you stagger and line it up that way. You brought in Deebo Samuel. You went all in to have an explosive offense this year because you brought in the offensive tackle. I can't, his name eludes me to the draft. I believe it was Connerly.
Oh yeah.
But you basically invested so many resources on offense when defense was kind of your shortcoming last year. So you basically said offensively, we're going to get it done. And Terry McLaurin is all right. Jaden Daniels is the engine, but like Terry McLaurin's the gas. Like obviously, Jaden Daniels runs it, but Terry McLaurin is what gets you that extra gear. That's what made you so damn good last year. Was Terry McLaurin being so damn good on top of it? So there's a lot of ways to make this work, and I hope that it's just this. I'm hoping it's just a little frustration by the time the season kicks off. It'll be done.
So, if you had to guess, how much do you think Terry McLaurin is going to make guaranteed this season?
Play is guaranteed for the season.
Yep. This season alone, not with any extension, but just this season.
Probably not. I'm trying to think when he signed his last deal because it's been a few years, hasn't it? Like 21, 22, something like that. So I'm gonna guess probably only like 10 to 15 million, if that.
That's his base total salary. His guaranteed for this year, $2.8 million.
Wow, because he got almost 70 million guaranteed. So they front loaded the hell out of that one. So just do it again. Do the exact front load this one.
But it's crazy when you look. He's making $300,000 more than Jaden Daniels will this season, guaranteed money. That's the wild thing to me where it's like, all right, look, yeah, I know he's your rookie, but he's your quarterback, but this is your number one wide receiver. You should be paying this man a lot.
This is the back end of his second contract, if I'm not mistaken, too. Like, this is right now is the time you get him a 3-year deal. You load that thing, make it 3 years, like, what, 80 million, something like that. So, like, 27 a year, something like that. Stack it with guarantees early on.
All
Thank you,
right.
Terry, for your service, my friend.
This is the way I can just lose my mind on these things. He makes $315,000 more guaranteed than their kicker.
Yeah, like I said, pay this man and give him a massive signing bonus unless he wants to stagger it because, taxes and stuff. Then give him one, find a way to get him his
Guarantees and
guarantees
taxes.
however he wants it. Like, fine, get him what he wants. He's been there for how many years now? Like 5 years, I believe, 2019, so 6 years. Like,
Yeah.
he's been there since they were not the Commanders. He's been through 3 different jerseys. Like, to pay the man.
Yeah, he's been there since 2022. So.
I could have swore he came out in 2019 because
Oh, no,
2022
that's
is when
right.
he
Yeah,
signed the
no, sorry. This
extension.
is his current contract. Current contract signed in 2022. My bad.
Okay, so he is in his career, he has played for the Redskins, the football team, and the Commanders.
Yes.
Like, he has survived 3
2019
different
is
name
when he got
changes
drafted. Yeah.
as a 3rd round pick. Like, just figure this out. Like,
Just pay him.
he caught 5 we're not gonna go into all the numbers because the point is he is awesome, and we all know this. Like, he's been awesome since day 1. He's been through Colt McCoy, Dwayne Haskins, Case Keenum,
Marcus
Sam
Mariota.
Howell, Marcus Mariota. Like, he finally gets something that you finally have a chance to potentially win a division, go on a playoff run. You were just in the NFC Championship game, a game in which he scored in. Just figure this out. I digress. If any Commanders fans out there, let us know if we're out of base or if for some reason we're missing it. If not, I could think of 31 other teams that will gladly take on the services of Scary Terry real quickly.
Yes.
Yeah. Will they all be able to pay him? Probably not, but I'm sure that they all would definitely like to. And there's plenty that would find a way to pay him. Send him for Jawan Jennings. Just swap and let those teams pay. Don't know how that works, but that'd be the most goofy thing to have. It's like, well, my team won't pay him, but he'll pay somebody else.
Yeah.
Like that. NFL is goofy sometimes, but let us know down below. And this is a good time to pivot because it's been a bit of a letdown for those guys trying to get their contract situation done. We're continuing our countdown towards the NFL, our NFL coverage season. We're going to talk about teams now. We talked a couple weeks ago. Teams that we think are meh, that could take off and be surprisingly good teams, like those worst of first, they came out of nowhere, last year's Commanders, if you will. Now we're going to talk about teams that were good last year, might be poised to be a bit of a letdown, unfortunately. So that doesn't mean they'll be bad. It just means expectations compared to reality might not line up perfectly. So we're going to each pick a couple of teams. Kelcey, I'm going to let you lead the way.
All right. Well, first one I'm going to start with is currently, if we go down the odds list, number 9 on the best odds to make the playoffs in the NFL. But I think this team has a sneaking suspicion of potentially not making the playoffs and being a dud. Maybe not even making it past 4th in their division. It's because they have a tough division, if we're being honest. It's the LA Rams. Starting with a heavy one. Matt Stafford, I love the guy, but he looked old last year at times, and he looked lost. He does not have Cooper Kupp anymore. Yes, it's the Puka show, but how good is Puka by himself? We saw in spurts, but we haven't seen him a full-time healthy as well. Look, yeah, Devontae's there. You got other pieces that you've gotten through the draft. It should be a good team. Young defense, should be talented, but there's holes still on this team that have not been addressed.
I will say too that's a pretty good division on paper too. Like you got to imagine the 49ers might bounce back. Seattle's still a very building team. Cardinals were really good in spurts last year, so it's not like they could cakewalk through the division either. It might be very competitive. And through the first half of the year last year, the first 6 or so games, they were like 1-4 before they turned it on in the back half. So I'm curious, are they more like that early team that was also decimated by injuries, to be fair? Or are they going to be like the team that nearly beat the Eagles in the playoffs? Or is it something in between? They're interesting for sure, especially in that division. Yeah. I'm going to continue picking on the northeast part of the country. I'm going to pick the Commanders as a team that could potentially be a letdown. They're plus 115 to miss the playoffs, minus 145 to make it. We talked about all the reasons they could make. Now I'm going to completely flip the script here. They won, I think it was 8 games last year by single digits, if I believe was the number. A lot of very close games that could have gone either way. We all remember the Bears being the Bears with the Hail Mary, plenty of other games that were right down to the wire. Do those kind of Remember the Giants and the Vikings a couple of years ago when they made the playoffs? Do those end up flipping on their head? That's what I'm curious to see as well. There's the sophomore slump with rookie quarterbacks. We talked about a CJ Stroud last year. He still made the playoffs and won a playoff game because the Chargers imploded, and that division that he plays in is absolutely terrible. Jaden does not get that luxury as the NFC East is really, really good. You have these Super Bowl champion Eagles in there. You have Kelcey's former Dallas Cowboys getting healthy again. You got the New York Giants who made a lot of really good moves in the offseason. Will it matter? I don't know. But they still made a lot of good moves. That's a very good division and a tougher schedule. So I'm pick the Commanders as a team that could. Some people are picking them as potential Super Bowl teams. I can see them as a team that maybe doesn't quite. I don't know if they'll reach that. So I'm gonna pick the Commanders as a potential letdown.
By the way, eighth best odds to make the playoffs, the Commanders. But they do have that feel of a boomer bust type of season for them. Like this feels like the one that they could have a great step forward or a step back. But I did say it last year with CJ Stroud. I said I am a little nervous that he's not going to progress. He may be stationary. There may be injuries that cause harm to the good of the team. Feels like the Commanders and Jaden Daniels are kind of set for the same way. I don't think it's going to be a regression. I just think it's maybe a stationary year for him with some potential injury concerns. And also, look, we just talked about it. Terry McLaurin does concern me. If he doesn't re-sign, if he doesn't show up for week one, which I don't think he's going to hold out that long, but if he doesn't show up, like, what happens? You know, this defense is also kind of getting older. There's no ways around. Like, especially that linebacking core, they are getting older in linebackers. So, always a concern there.
There's also, like we mentioned, like all the one possession games, everything like that too. It's just kind of weird when you look at it, considering they spent so much of their resources on offense when their defense was the issue, as I mentioned as well. You brought in Laramie Tunsil, you brought in a lot of good additions, but that's really tough. Are you gonna win a lot of those games the same way? I have my concerns as well, and we know the Cliff Kingsbury story has always been like very hot starts, faltering at the end. Last year he shook that a little bit, but does that continue? So there are questions for sure with the Commanders, but who else do you think who's another dud that you think could maybe underperform next year?
Yeah. So the first one was ninth on the list. My second one is higher on this list and higher than the Commanders. The fifth best odds to make the playoffs, and some people are even picking them as a Super Bowl favorite. So maybe you're going to catch some flack with this one, and I'm fine with that. I'll accept it. The team we just talked about, one of their players wanting out. That is the San Francisco 49ers. I'm going to stick with the NFC West for both of my picks. And part of it is the NFC West. That's why one of these two teams feels like a bust to me. But on top of that, this team rides or dies by health. And that can't happen. But in 3 years, we've seen this team get injured in the wrong moments. CMC last year is the perfect example for this team. Deebo Samuel in and out of the season. When Ayuk went down with the ACL, decimated this receiving core. Juwan Jennings didn't miss anything, but also took him time to facilitate. George Kittle, his ankle continues to be a potential problem for 1 or 2 games a season. You know, there are question marks across this team for health purposes. And if I'm relying on a team to just stay healthy, that concerns me. Same with the Rams. It concerned me with the Rams. It concerns me with the Niners. On top of that, Brock Purdy, is he worth the contract? I've yet to see it right now. He's a winner, and there's nothing wrong with winners. We love game managers on this show. I'm fine with that. But right now, it feels like he's trying too hard to do anything. And that's a potential issue. And on top of that, hey, that contract negotiation can be bothersome if you don't sign it. So
he did sign his though. Like he's locked in. Yeah. Okay.
But once you sign, you see it anytime though. Somebody signs big money deals. Is more my point. Is
he going to be Trevor Lawrence or is he going to be Jordan Love? Which one are we getting?
You see it. You know, we talked about Sauce getting a new contract. We see it with corners all the time. We see it with quarterbacks the same way. You make that money that first year of that contract, doesn't always pan out the way you'd hope. Not everybody can be Peyton Manning or Tom Brady, right? You're not going to be Drew Brees. Yeah, like we get a lot more Dak Prescotts and we get a lot more Tuas than we do Tom Brady's and Peyton or Lamar and Josh Allen. So my odds are concerning that this is going to bother the team in so many ways. And look, we still don't know what we're going to get with Brandon Ayuk. So lots of concerns for the Niners. But yeah, they're that last team I'm going to pick as a dud potential.
The 49ers are either winning 12 to 13 games next year or they're winning 5 or 6. There will be no in between when it comes to that team. They are either going to bounce back with a fury or they are going to fall completely by the wayside. Last one to pick is They're minus 115 to make the plus, minus 105 to miss it. So they're kind of down the middle. Some people think they can win their division. Some people think they're going to be terrible. I'm going to go with the Denver Broncos. That defense on paper looks absolutely outstanding. It was awesome last year. And then you add Jedi Barron on top of it. That is an awesome defense. Bo Nix accounted for 29 touchdowns last year as a rookie. That was awesome. Second most all time by a rookie. Sean Payton is a legit coach when he doesn't have Russell Wilson as his quarterback, as we have seen, or Taysom Hill. The running game, well, we'll see. There's some rookies, J.K. Dobbins. We'll see how they make that work. Cortland Sutton had a little bit of a rejuvenation. Evan Ingram into the offense. I like them. I like adding there. There's a lot to like. Marvin Mims, Troy Franklin, etc. A very good offensive line, led by Quinn Miners as well. Lots to love about that offense and that team, but there was a lot of the offense was simple last year. A lot of it was simplified to help Bo Nix succeed. And I think a lot of the defensive teams are going to catch in onto some of that, and it's going to require him to take that next step, which I think he will. But I don't know if it happens right away. I don't know if he's going to immediately be able to snap it next year and be like, okay, everything that I was comfortable with last year, now they've taken that away. Now I got to take it steps 2, step 3, step 4, etc. The Bo Nix experience, a high-low sports coin phrase. I think we'll see a little bit of it next year. Not to mention, the Chiefs are still the Chiefs. You got to deal with them twice. The Chargers are still the Chargers. You got to deal with them twice, and they also got quite a bit better. And the Raiders, they got exponentially better at quarterback, head coach, and running back. Like that, so that's another team. It's just if no other reason, the path is a lot harder on top of it. So I think they could be a team that some say with that defense they could win the division. The Chiefs are falling apart, depending on who you talk to. Or there's the opposite situation of, damn, we can't catch a break any week. We don't. Where's the cupcakes? They have a much harder schedule now as a playoff team on top of it. So I'm gonna take Denver as a team that could possibly maybe let down a little bit, depending on what your expectations are.
Yeah, I take a little offense to this.
It was a direct shot. Don't worry.
Yeah, and it's mostly because I picked them as my stud potential this season, and I think it's worth mentioning. You mentioned the simplification of the offense. This is Sean Payton's simplification, which for everybody else who doesn't know, that means it's the normal coach's regular offense.
I'm just saying there are certain things that it's a lot harder in the second year, as you mentioned, when teams kind of see
it
what you
is.
like and they see what you know. I mean, it's just saying it gets a little bit harder.
I think the difference with the way Bo Nix played last season versus like a Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels did the same thing from the beginning of the season to the end of the season. It didn't change week to week. Bo Nix grew within his talents in the NFL, which means that there wasn't a full season of tape on him of what he could do. Like what he did at the back end is not the Bo Nix that played the first 7 games. And that means half his season, he's a different quarterback, which means you only have half of the tape you would on Jaden Daniels. So I think that's one difference for Bo that gives the opportunity there. But I think if we just pull Bo Nix out of this entire conversation, I think the rest of the Broncos got better. And I think that's the part of this that makes it surprising that you picked them, but not surprising. Because I agree with you that there's a potential for a bust. Wouldn't have been my pick because there's a couple teams that I think I'd pick a little bit more than them. But I see what you're getting at with this because you do have a lot of new pieces coming in and being added to it, and you don't know how well they're going to mesh. And let's not lie about this. Let's not sugarcoat it. Sean Payton as a coach is not the most lovable guy.
I do want to point out too, they did win 5 of their last 7 games to get to that 7 seed, but those teams they beat were Atlanta right during the Kirk Cousins implosion, the Raiders, who we just kind of mentioned, exponentially terrible, the Browns, who is the Browns, the Colts, who are absolutely terrible. They lost to the Chargers and the Bengals in overtime, and then they beat the Chiefs backups in Week 18 to get in there as well, which is when Bo Nix accounted for 4, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 of those touchdowns, give or take. He got a lot better. I don't know if you're going to be able to catch, sometimes the schedule plays out perfectly where you get a lot of those teams in the right spot where you're able to get into that 7 seed. Now they're not sneaking up on anybody. So that defense is still going to be legit. Like, we're playing fantasy football. Give me that defense, arguably number 1 overall. Not overall. Not number 1. If we're drafting defenses, that might be one of the first defenses I take a look at with their interception potential with that secondary. I just think that road's a lot tougher now. You're not going to get 2 wins against the Raiders next year. And I don't think you're going to get 2 wins against the Raiders next year.
Yeah, I mean, look, they get a break in the last 6 games. They play the Jaguars in one of those 6 games, but those remaining 6 games down the stretch this year, Commanders, Raiders, Packers, Chiefs, Chargers. Good luck. The start of their season is a little more favorable.
They get 2 they get 2 weenies right out of the gate at least.
Chargers, that's a 50-50 game. Bengals, well, if they don't sign Shamar and Trey Hendrickson, you don't have to worry about a pass rush.
And they didn't have to worry about it last year. They just went to overtime. Then you got the Eagles, the Jets, the Giants, Cowboys. It gets a little bit shaky, as we mentioned. That they got to come out of the gate firing. That's for sure.
Their first 10 games, they can easily get 7 wins, but you could also lose 7 games in that first 10 games if you're not careful. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see with the Broncos. Second year for all those moving pieces. It'll be interesting to see how they connect. I get where you're coming from. Was a little surprising to me. Also,
It
just
could be.
because I picked him as a stud. But I think from a neutral standpoint, it feels like, again, the boomer bust type of team.
They could be a stud too. Like maybe the Chiefs do fall off, and then that defense is that good. They could be a stud, but they're also a lot of things to point to. They can go either direction. I don't know if they're going to perfectly repeat what they did last year. That's where I look at it too.
And
I think they're either oh snap, they have home field advantage. Everyone's coming a mile high, or well damn, that didn't go our way at all. I feel like they are not going 9-8 again. It's either 12 or 6 for win total.
And to be fair, for this team to be a bust is not making the playoffs.
That's exactly where we're going with. That's why it's poised to let down, guys. I'm not hating on Denver, so don't come chasing after me from the top of your mountains with your pitchforks. I'm saying expectations are there now.
Yeah,
So it could be a little bit
the
of
worst case scenario of winning too early.
Exactly. You need, but then again, they're still paying Russell Wilson to not be on the team, and they're still winning. So you know what? At the end of the day, Broncos fans, you got it pretty good right now, considering where you could be if things didn't work out how they did last year. But that's going to wrap it up here for our main event, which is going to take us into Kelcey's favorite part of every show, and that is crunch time. And for crunch time, we're going to keep this one short, concise, and interesting because it just kind of happened recently. Bradley Beal, former all-star, really good shooting guard, kind of struggled a little bit in Phoenix to the point where they agreed to a buyout. So rumors he's going to sign with LA, but the Clippers, not the Lakers, where it was basically rumored he would be going, and where, in my opinion, it would make the most sense for his skill set. But instead, he'll be going to play with James Harden, who plays very, very similar to him, and Kawhi Leonard, who, when he's healthy for those 17 and a half games, is awesome. And then Zoop, a very interesting, good team, too. So good for the Clippers. You continue to get a little bit better. Some of the trades they've made this offseason, if they're a good team on paper, but I'm still surprised that Bradley went to that side of LA. I feel like the other LA team would have made the most sense for him.
Yeah, I mean, if they got him on a team-friendly deal, which it sounds like they're getting him for $11 million, the Clippers are, which is a pretty team-friendly deal. You got to replace Norman Powell, who's now on the Heat, so that's part of it. And I think Bradley Beal does that. I am intrigued by how he mixes with the rest of the team, though. It feels very much like how he ended up with the Suns, where it's just like too many guys that do the same thing. And he's not a sit in the corner type of guard. He's not a sit in the corner and just shoot threes type of guy. He's also not a point guy. So it's very interesting to see how he'll fit in. Obviously, this does matter based on the fact he has to clear waivers first. And it shouldn't be an issue because I think the Clippers have a high enough claim on him. But just on the surprise chance that somebody in front of the Clippers puts a claim in on him first, there's a possibility for some team to just screw up him ending up with the Clippers. But yeah, it is surprising against the Clippers. It doesn't feel like the team that he would fit best with. But at the same time, maybe it works out well. It's hard to tell with these type of franchise pairings because we've seen in some cases where these guys mix perfectly on the court. They should be fantastic. Their game should mix, and it goes awful. And then you have the Heatles with 3 guys that love to attack the basket. Oh, by the way, we figured it out. Don't worry, guys. We're good.
Chris Bosh just learned how to shoot threes. LeBron just had arguably the best couple-year run of his career.
Shooting time of his career too.
Exactly. Like I will say, if you can get like the 22 point per game Bradley Beal, they could just count on him to get buckets. Basically, just like, hey, go. James Harden will dish to you. You can shoot. You can drive. Just go get buckets. Do what you did in Washington. I think it could work very uniquely. That means James Harden doesn't have to be the main shot creator. Doesn't have to be Kawhi as the main isolate. Like they don't have to have another guy that can isolate or another guy that, if the blender starts blending with the defense, he can make something happen. So I could see it working. It is interesting that it was the Clippers, honestly. It felt like the Bradley Beal to the Lakers was all but set in stone if there was a buyout reach because you had to play off of Luka, off of LeBron. Like it felt like it would have made sense. But hey, I could be wrong. Maybe the Lakers have something else in mind. Maybe the Clippers just sold him that hard because rumors James Harden really sold him. So maybe that'll be an interesting workout. I'm curious to see how it goes. But let us know down below what you all think of Bradley Beal heading to the Clippers. That's going to do it here for the High Low Sports Podcast. We got a whole lot of fun stuff coming up. Our NFL division breakdowns are just a few weeks away, starting August 6th. We do have our final NFL fantasy mock draft coming up in a couple of weeks as well. So the NFL countdown season is officially right around the corner. One of our favorite times of the year. And honestly, some of the best times because sometimes we sound really smart, other times we sound really dumb. Sometimes it's everywhere in between, and I can't wait for it. But be sure to let us know what you all want to see moving forward. And we appreciate y'all for joining us, and we'll see you all again next time.